The early data is telling us that Black Friday is going to be an absolute bust this year. The blackout boycott is working.
I am frothing at the mouth, waiting for the reports that Black Friday was a consumer flop. That people didn't really go and say, yeah, I know there are always people who wait, but I cannot wait to see that Black Friday, Cyber Monday is a flop and that people are actually not spending money. Expensive gifts or many gifts this holiday season. Well, one, because people can't afford it. And I'm not happy that people can't afford it, but I'm greedily awaiting the reports when these corporations who make a majority of their money at the end of the year, and they plan for it like a year in advance, they project it, when it just doesn't happen.
Several days later.
People literally racing into Black Friday with gift cards at the door at Bass Pro Shops.
Thank you.
And goodie bags for the first shoppers at Target. From California to New Jersey, Americans across the country still showing up to stores and the mall in droves this Black Friday.
From what we understand about Black Friday trends and what the expectations are, it's that retail firms do forecast today will be the biggest day for in-store traffic of the year.
Target literally just played in our faces with these swag bags. And when I tell you I will not be doing another Black Friday again, yes, I made the conscious decision to get in line 2 degrees below zero with all of these people to try to get one of their swag bags. Now, the first 100 people were supposed to get a swag bag that was supposed to contain so many amazing goodies for the Black Friday deal. Y'all, it was so cold. I am so serious when I say I will never, ever do this again. This was absolutely crazy.
Boy. So we got to talk about yet again another liberal backfire as the anti-Trump Black Friday boycott seems to have failed spectacularly. Okay, and I want to talk about it because I talked about this maybe like a month ago when the liberals were first plotting this mass anti-Trump boycott, right? They want to stick it to corporate America. They want to stick it to Trump because of the fact that corporate America has moved away from DEI. They moved away from diversity, equity, and inclusion. They feel as if corporate America is aligned with Trump, and because they are aligned with Trump in their eyes, they want to punish corporate America in an anti-Trump boycott where they're not going to shop, they're going to stop working, right? They're just going to stop providing economic activity within the economy. And they basically said that, hey, we're going to ruin the holiday season, right? We're going to ruin the holiday economy in order to stick it to Trump. Okay. And I want to go ahead and play a clip so that people can understand exactly what they were plotting to do, what the goal was, and the results of the so-called anti-Trump boycott. Take a look.
We talk about what do we do? How do we use our power? Economic withdrawal is one of those. There's a call for a nationwide mass blackout this week, urging people to stop working and stop shopping. A coalition of grassroots groups is pushing for an economic shutdown during one of the busiest shopping periods of the year. We're asking people across the country to hit pause on spending and even skip work from November 25th through December 2nd. The group behind the efforts, Black Out the System, the People's Sick Day, and the Money Out of Politics movement, want folks to avoid traveling, eating out, and using paid digital services, yes, even streaming.
All year long, people have been asking me, what can I do? Well, this Thanksgiving week, you have an answer. Don't give your money to businesses that don't value you. If you're tired of companies like Target eliminating DEI programs, tired of Home Depot allowing ICE raids in their parking lots, tired of billionaires like Jeff Bezos using their money that you give him on Amazon to buy gifts for a wannabe king in a gold-plated Oval Office, then this is your time to shine. 2 major economic pressure campaigns, Mass Blackout and We Ain't Buying It, are asking us to be intentional about how we spend our money and our time this Thanksgiving. We Ain't Buying It focuses on Amazon, Target, and Home Depot, while the Mass Blackout gives us dozens of options. You can not spend your money this week, stop working, cancel your subscriptions, or even move your money from a big bank to a local credit union. While in California, another group organized a clever anti-ice campaign by buying 17-cent ice scrapers from Home Depot and then immediately returning them, clogging up the lines and disrupting the store.
Grassroots groups around the nation are calling on shoppers to boycott big box stores they say have given in to President Donald Trump and given up on promises to support diversity, equity, and inclusion. They are urging consumers to avoid the retail giants and spend at local independent businesses. Fox 5's Chris King is live in Stonecrest tonight, where a local pastor, Chris, is leading the charge.
Good evening, Deidre. We are outside New Birth Missionary Baptist Church. They launched what they call Bullseye Black Market. They're calling on consumers to hold off spending at giants like Target, Amazon, and Home Depot. Instead, they say buy local from small Black-owned businesses. The day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday, then Cyber Week, the time retailers rake in big bucks from shoppers looking for bargains.
Nice, right?
But this year, grassroots groups around the nation are calling on customers to boycott big box stores. They say cave to President Donald Trump and reneged on diversity, equity, and inclusion.
It's a good idea.
Groups like New Birth Missionary Baptist Church asking customers to spend at stores that stood up to the president, as well as on local, independent, and Black-owned businesses. It's hosting what it calls Bullseye Black Market.
Whatever they have, we have here.
More than 90 small businesses will sell their products Friday through Sunday.
If you're not supporting what we feel and how our neighborhoods are coming up and our communities are coming up, why should I give you my money?
All politics is local, and so is all economic engines.
Reverend Jamal Bryant is pastor at New Birth. Earlier this year, he launched a boycott of Target after it scaled back DEI policies.
To show specifically big box companies that minority organizations cannot be overlooked or ignored.
Yeah, so let's just say that this anti-Trump Black Friday boycott, holiday boycott, don't buy from corporate America, don't go and shop in stores, right? Just, don't spend your money, don't work, right? Shut down the economy to stick it to Trump. Let's just say it did not work out very well for the woke activists, because not only were there record sales that happened on Black Friday, you had a bunch of people who were shopping in stores, a lot of retail traffic, but you also had a record amount of travel as well too. So Americans were spending a lot of money, or are spending a lot of money currently as I'm making this video. They're spending a lot of money during the holiday season, despite the liberal boycott to stick it to Trump.
Hey, George, good morning. Yeah, we are here inside the United Station Operations Center at Newark, and they are busy here working very, very hard, because today alone, they have 384 flights. Now, that's just United, just here at Newark. So you can imagine it's going to be very busy all across this country. This morning, that record-breaking Thanksgiving travel rush well underway. Nearly 82 million people expected to hit the roads and skies. Airports from coast to coast already packed, set to only get busier this week.
About a couple more days, it'll be a different story here, but right now it's pretty mellow, pretty good.
The skies will be so busy that the FAA is already preparing to use limited military airspace if needed to support the most efficient flow of traffic across the East Coast and the Gulf. The TSA expects to screen more than 17.8 million people starting tomorrow. They say this coming Sunday will be one of the busiest days in history, possibly screening more than 3 million people that day alone.
We are definitely expecting a busy holiday season, and we are prepared.
The trade group Airlines for America says U.S. Airlines will carry an all-time high of 31 million passengers during the holiday period. United is expecting about 6.6 million of them. Officials say even after weeks of cancellations and delays because of the shutdown, they're more than ready for the rush.
Well, Steve and Natasha, we've seen many surges of train travelers coming and going all day long here. An Amtrak spokesperson telling us that they've added trains as well as additional cars to already scheduled trains in order to keep people moving as quickly as possible. Now, more people are turning to Amtrak to get their destinations to their destinations than ever before on a Thanksgiving holiday weekend. All the complications and delays with air travel and the record number of cars hitting the roads and clogging highways are reasons even more travelers are taking the train this year. Plus, there are those who tell us that trains have always been their preferred mode of transportation.
People literally racing into Black Friday, with gift cards at the door at Bass Pro Shops and goodie bags for the first shoppers at Target. From California to New Jersey, Americans across the country still showing up to stores and the mall in droves this Black Friday in search of deals.
I feel like the percentages are getting lower and lower and lower. Like, it used to be like 50% off, and now it's like only like 30%.
The discount dash happening as tariffs threaten higher prices. MasterCard saying leather gloves, sweaters, and toys are among the most tariff gifts compared to last year. It also comes as Americans increasingly worry over affordability. Recent readings on consumer sentiment falling to a 7-month low.
Do you feel like you're going to have to make compromises on like gift shopping or your budget this year?
Absolutely. Things are really expensive this year. And I think this is a great time to get some deals and kind of take some of the pressure off.
Shoppers we met last Black Friday,
If the deal is right. Yeah. That's our motto.
telling us when we met up again today that the deals were just okay.
The doorbusters just aren't the same because they started a week ago already.
Spending so far points to shoppers still opening their wallets, as data on online spending showed a record $6.4 billion spent just on Thanksgiving. For the entire holiday shopping season, spending is expected to cross the $1 trillion mark for the first time ever. Shoppers saying even if it's not about the spend, at least Black Friday is still about the spirit.
We love doing this. It's part of our tradition, and it's really just exciting to see what's out there.
Brian is joining us now from that mall in Paramus, New Jersey. And Brian, we are getting an early look at those online holiday spending numbers in just the last couple minutes.
Yeah, Hallie, we are just getting these numbers from Adobe saying that we are on track for almost $12 billion in online spending today. That would be a Black Friday record. Again, what we're talking about is online there, but whether you're shopping in person at the mall or online, we'll see if that momentum lasts through Cyber Monday, which is obviously going to be a major e-commerce holiday. Hallie?
Brian, Sean, thank you.
U.S. online sales will hit nearly $12 billion today. That would be up more than 8% from last year, the biggest growth rate of these 5 days. Salesforce says e-commerce sales on Black Friday actually surpassed Cyber Monday totals last year and will again this year. That number is sort of debated depending on how the data sets are pulled. Now, Deloitte and the National Retail Federation do forecast toys to be among the top 3 categories today. Jeffries says the average promotion for toys is around 32% this year. That's down from 38% last year, but thinks Hasbro is having a pretty strong showing for classic games like Connect 4, Sorry, Trouble, and Candyland. Nostalgia is kind of the name of the game across categories. Third-party logistics company ShipBob, it says toys and games were the top category on Thanksgiving Day. It was led by sales of Tony's, again, sort of a children's item, an audio box, and that is one of those ones that was highlighted as a hot item by retailers like Target and Walmart and Kohl's. And Planalytics' Evan Gold tells me that colder weather will be hot for winter apparel. He says that this drop in temperatures, particularly in the eastern half of the United States, should lead to a 5% increase in sales of boots, jackets, hats, and gloves this weekend, and then a 15% lift for early December.
Yeah, so I find this to be fascinating for so many reasons, okay? Right now, we're talking about the liberal boycott that clearly was a massive failure. Massive failure. And liberals are currently coping and seething, right? They're seething over the fact that their boycott, their anti-Trump boycott, failed spectacularly. I would say it backfired because, as you guys just saw, you have record, right? Record sales across the board despite this boycott. Take a look.
Maybe I'm pissed off because a bunch of you guys were like, oh, boycott, boycott, boycott. But then you guys are selfish and we're sitting outside of Target. Out of all the places that we were going to boycott, Black Friday, all I see is you guys at Target. Okay. You guys are sucking on consumerism tit. Give me more bullshit.
Excuse how I'm looking. I've been sick on this Thanksgiving break, but I'm really confused on why I'm seeing so many Target swag bag hauls, which aren't even that swaggy in my opinion. All these Target swag bag hauls as if we haven't been boycotting Target since January. This is what I talk about with the problem of white feminists is they will go out to the marches and shake their signs, and some of them will even vote for the right person, but you cannot put your money where your mouth is for nothing. Same thing with the Starbucks bear cup craze. Besides the fact that they're supporting the genocide in Palestine and they are sending so much money to Israel, Right. The workers are on strike for like the 50 millionth time in 5 years because they're treated horribly. But y'all were so desperate to spend $30 on a glass cup that you could have got from Walmart.
So I thought we was going to do the blackout, the mass blackout, no shopping till December the 5th or after December 5th. But listen, I guess nobody, which I already knew, this is why we can never get ahead of nothing. This is why we cannot get anything happening in the U.S. when it comes down for the purpose of why we're doing the blackout mass, what have you, because people still go out and do shopping anyway. Y'all really just don't care. Y'all don't want no change. Y'all don't want to make a change. I thought it was really funny because this lady comes on my For You page and she's saying that she stood out at Target in the wee hours of the morning with a bunch of other people in a line to get this, I guess, Target is giving away these gift bags that has supposed to have like a bunch of stuff in it. Anyways, the bag is like a silver holographic plastic. I mean, it ain't nothing fancy. And it had probably like 4 or 5 items, real basic. Like one was an elf lipstick, one was a juice box, one was a deck of Uno cards, like real basic shicey stuff. But that's what y'all get for going against the grain. Change ain't never gonna come because y'all just can't.
You know how I know the boycott is working? The media is working overdrive to make us believe that our boycott did not work, that everybody is out spending a bunch of money. And I drove past stores today. You had parking everywhere. I've seen tons of creators on this app say they drove past all the regular stores, all the usual suspects. All of them were empty. I've only seen people really stand outside for that little swag bag, and a lot of people said they just left afterwards. So, which one is it? Be honest, how many people actually went outside for Black Friday sales? Most people I knew decided to have actually small Thanksgiving dinners and just kind of opt out of shopping altogether because we are boycotting. But funny enough, all day today, all my algorithm has been about how, Black Friday percentages are expected to be good, sales are supposed to be stronger than last year. That's all I've seen all day on my algorithm, all day. So I'm just waiting for them to release the data because I just know they're going to try to act like, it was good, it was good, it was great.
Yeah, they did release the data, right? And the data says that not only was it good, right? Not only was it great, it was a record, an absolute record. Now, I want to talk about this because there's some caveats here, right? There's some caveats. And again, I find this story to be so fascinating for so many reasons outside of the fact that liberals are upset that their boycott didn't work, okay? But let's read about these record sales and what people were purchasing. So let's get into it. American shoppers spent a record $11.8 billion online on Black Friday, up 9.1% from last year. Final data from Adobe Analytics showed. Adobe Analytics, which tracks over 1 trillion U.S. retail site visits, expect shoppers to spend $5.5 billion on Saturday and $5.9 billion on Sunday, up 3.8% and 5.4% from a year earlier, respectively. Separately, software firm Salesforce reported that American consumers had spent $18 billion on Black Friday purchases, up 3% from a year ago, with luxury apparel and accessories among the most popular categories. Now, we're going to get back to this because that is the part about this that I find to be so interesting, okay? Although U.S. consumers spent more this Black Friday compared to last year, price increases hamper online demand, according to Salesforce, with shoppers purchasing fewer items at checkout compared to last year. Okay, yeah, so again, that kind of makes sense when you say, okay, well, if you account for inflation, then yes, consumers are purchasing more from a dollar perspective. However, when it comes to the amount of items they're actually getting, they're getting fewer items, but the amount they're spending is more, right? Which is not necessarily a great thing, right, for consumers if you are spending more but you're getting less. But at the same time, the money's being spent, right? Regardless of how you want to spend it, the money is still being spent. Consumers aren't spending less money. They're just getting less stuff. But the less stuff that they're getting is not, we're not talking about like necessities. We're talking about luxury stuff, right? We're talking about stuff that people actually really don't need, that people are still choosing to spend their money on, despite this narrative that the economy is terrible, right? The economy is so terrible, so bad, and I'm not saying it's not, right? I'm not saying there's not some truth to that statement. I'm just saying that something's not adding up, right? Something's not adding up here, because despite all the things that we hear in the mainstream liberal media about how things are so bad, consumer sentiment is so bad, people are still spending money. They continue to spend, and it probably is debt driven. I mean, it certainly is debt driven, but you know, it really says something about the American consumer, right? How American consumerism is undefeated. Okay, that's essentially what it says. At physical stores, the bargain chasing was relatively on post Thanksgiving morning, with some shoppers saying they feared overspending and persistent inflation, trade policy driven uncertainty, and a soft labor market. Cyber Monday, traditionally a big day for online deals, is expected to be the season's biggest online shopping day again. Adobe projects driving $14.2 billion in spending, up 6.3% from last year. So again, CPI has us about 3%, right? So, you know, the increase is higher than the at least government stated rate of inflation. So what does that say, right? I think that, again, says a lot about American consumerism, how we can spend a record amount of money while at the same time feeling like the economy is terrible, right? The economy is terrible. This is how people feel. But in regards to how they spend money, and we're not talking about on necessities here, right? You can't say that, well, see, the reason why Americans are spending more is because you got to spend more on necessities. No. We're talking about a holiday that strictly really is about spending money on things that you really don't need, right? And Americans are deciding that, hey, we're going to spend a record amount of money on things that Americans don't need, right? You know, hey, I think it's a lot to be said about that, right? I said in the video yesterday, I said, something's not adding up here, right? I see the EBT community. They're out at these nice restaurants so casually, right? They're out at these very nice restaurants, right? Eating, okay? And I'm like, well, you know, if the EBT community can afford to eat out at these super nice restaurants, you know, hey, maybe there's a disconnect, right? Maybe I'm missing something, right? I'm missing something. The narrative is not matching the behavior. The behavior is a little bit different than the narrative that I'm hearing from the media. But I'm not saying that the economy is great. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that it's good. I'm saying that it's a work in progress. But at the same time, I think that a lot of it is very narrative driven. And I think that's what we're seeing here when you look at these numbers, this data that suggests that people are still spending money, right? And they're spending a record amount of money. They're getting less stuff, but the money's still being spent. I think that says a lot, right? I think it basically says that a lot of how people feel about the economy is more narrative driven than reality. And I'm not saying that some of it's not true when it comes to the reality that, yes, we have seen historic price increases over the last 4 years. But clearly it is not so extreme that people are saying, hey, we're just not going to spend money at all. And because you're still seeing this consumer spending, especially during a holiday like Black Friday, which again is not about necessities, right? We're not talking about groceries here, right? We're talking about things that are essentially wants, right? Wants. Seeing that, I think it really shows you that, okay, well, the truth is probably somewhere in between the narrative that the economy is terrible, everything is, you know, so expensive and we can't afford anything, right? It's probably between that and the actual data, right? The real reality of consumer behavior and the fact that people are still spending money, which, you know, kind of makes sense considering the fact that under President Trump, the rate of inflation is lower than it was under Joe Biden. I don't care what the media says. We've seen disinflation under President Trump. And hopefully we continue to see this trend of inflation ticking lower, right? And real wage growth, hopefully outpacing inflation to the point where people feel much better about the economy, especially going into the midterms, right? So we're going to see, okay? I'm just saying that despite this narrative that everything is so terrible, consumer spending behavior on wants, right, on things that are not necessities, kind of say a little bit differently, right? At least when it comes to Black Friday, that is, okay? Regardless, my point is that this boycott from the left has backfired spectacularly. Not only did it fail, but it backfired because there was a record amount of spending, a record amount of traffic, a record amount of travel. People spent a lot of money, right? Despite the narrative and despite this boycott. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.